I trust everyone is having a wonderful Christmas. We are moving on to discourse number 26 from December 29th, 1932. So happy you could join me and come along on the ride here. For the excerpts, I want to read from discourse 26, which if you're reading along and you'd like to read the entire discourse, it's on starting on page 119 of the PDF. That's linked in the description box below. And we will start with the discourse. Every student should remember with definite certainty that in this quickening power of the I Am presence within his being, everything good or otherwise is stirred into action. If there is latent within the consciousness rebellion, resentment, or the inclination to judge, it means that all this will be stirred and brought to the surface to be consumed. And I tell you with no uncertainty, unless the student consciously consumes that which is brought forth to the surface, it will consume him. If one finds himself becoming irritated, he should seize the reins and issuing the command through the I Am presence declare that this be governed harmoniously. The greatest thing in this progress is self-correction, and there is no person, place, condition, or thing to blame for what they entertain but themselves. This is most imperative for their future progress. I am so happy and willing to give every assistance to the students, as are others, but there are certain bounds beyond which we may not go because of the self-conscious advancement of the students, which they must do for themselves. It is useless and a mistake for any student after months of instruction to each day or every few days allow himself to be thrown into a sense of depression or doubt of the inner power or his ability to apply it. This childish attitude of mind will in time shut the door if it is not discontinued. Each student should take his positive stand the moment discord of any kind attempts to enter into his mind. The assert his dominion by declaring, I am the almighty governing presence of my life and my world, and I am the peace, harmony, and courage, self-sustained, which carries me serenely through everything that confronts me. We may not, under any circumstances, take the student beyond the point where he is well fortified. I must say, for the protection of the students, that should certain phenomena manifest about him or about them, to be calm, poised, and unmoved by it at all times, and to go serenely along, not allowing their attention to be held by it. For it is not unlikely in this number of students that some may have sufficiently generated energy from past understanding at a certain point to produce certain phenomena. In such a case, they should always take the firm stand, I am the governing presence of this, utilizing it in its highest expression and use. You see, in all this amount of instruction that has been given, it is but a fragment upon which the student must build. The student must always watch for ideas from within himself upon which to build his expansion. I assure the beloved students that they need not crave nor desire phenomena, for the natural law of their beings and their sustained progress will produce abundant phenomenal proof as they are ready for it. In this, mark you, I do not in any wise refer to the appearance of any of the ascended ones, for that is an entirely different thing and is really not to be taken as phenomenon of any kind. As messengers of the light, this training is very essential, but the idea should not in any wise cause anxiety or tension in the desire to retain, because an attitude of this kind might easily close the outer memory of the inner experience. For the ascension, which I know a lot of us are concerned with, I am the commanding presence. Use this often, for it stills the outer activity so you become centered in the activity of love. You are to follow Jesus' command, see no man after the flesh. It means exactly what it says. Recognize no human imperfection in thought, feeling, word, or deed. A very powerful thing to use in problems is to take the simple consciousness, God in me, the I am presence come forth. Govern and solve the situation harmoniously. It would do wonders. The whole thing is to instantly draw forth the I am presence and set it to work. Jesus said, "Ask and ye shall receive. Seek and ye shall find. Knock, it shall be opened unto you." Say to your divine self, "See here, God, come forth and take care of this." God wants you to set him to work. This releases a flood of the God energy, intelligence, and substance which flows forth to do the command. Great information as we move on into Discourse 27 from December 24th, 1933, Christmas Eve. We just jumped forward just about a year. And we have another discourse from beloved Jesus. I bring you love and salutations from many of the ascended hosts, some of whom you know and others of whom you are yet to know. I am the light, the way, and the truth. And I did want to point out to there that is sort of scrambled up, but it is un-Mandela affected for those who have been noticing the way, the truth, and the life. And the new way, this is the old way, although it is a little bit out of order from what we're used to. But I am the light, the way, and the truth is the Christmas bell that is still ringing throughout the field of cosmic activity. In the understanding that has been brought to you and the meaning and power of the words I am, you will find a charmed circle in which you may move untouched by human discordant operation. It is not only a matter of knowing the presence, but in practicing the presence in even the simplest activity. For as you attempt an unfamiliar experience, you many times feel timid and uncertain. But as you learn to use the I am in the solving of your desire or problem, you find growing a confidence that you can apply with a definite assurance. The students should always understand that it is in the great silence or stillness of the outer that the inner power flows in its ever-increasing accomplishment, and soon they will come to know that even as they think of their mighty source, the I am, they will feel an increase of strength, vitality, and wisdom, which will enable them to go forward with a feeling of mastery that will surely one day open wide the door through the limitations of their human creation into the vastness of their true freedom. We so often see in the heart the craving for proof, some remarkable manifestation which will strengthen them on the way. I assure you, blessed children of the light, any proof given outside of yourself is but temporary, but every step proven in and through your own conscious application is an eternal accomplishment. And as you continue to gain the mastery through your self-conscious application, you are not only accomplishing the things in hand, but you are raising the consciousness until presently you will find that all barriers have gone down. It is in this manner that the door of human limitation is forever nailed back. And as my outer form was nailed to the cross, so do you, by your ascending consciousness, nail back the door of self-created limitations and feel and know your dominion. To the many students so vitally interested in making the ascension, I would urge you to use the statement often, I am the ascension and the light. This will enable your consciousness to more quickly rise out of the maya of human creation. It cannot be stressed too urgently that as you live in and accept more fully the transcendent power of the I Am presence, you will find that not only the outer struggle ceases, but that as you have entered deeper into the light, the outer things that you have sought so earnestly will really and truly begin to seek you, because by that time you will truly and fully realize the unreality of form and its transitory activity. You will then know that within you and the light about you is everything you can possibly desire, and the outer, which has seemed so very important, will have lost its great binding power upon you. Then in the outer things that come to you will come joyous freedom. This is the true activity of outer things. As you become more conscious of the transcendent powers which are at your command, you will know that you can quickly draw to yourself anything you require without harming or affecting another of God's children. This truth must be established within the consciousness, for conscientious souls must know this unwaveringly, so they may not at intervals find themselves wondering if it is right for them to succeed when others around them are not succeeding. For your greatest service, I assure you, is to gain the mastery and freedom for yourself. Then you are prepared to dispense the light without being affected by the human creation in which you must move. Never feel sad or distressed if another of God's children is not ready to accept the light, for if he does not come to the light of his own choosing, it is rarely but a temporary step. As one begins to gain a conscious freedom from the body, he understands how temporal these outer things are and how unimportant. But when one enters into the universal consciousness of the great cosmic activity, one finds to enter into the light is of all importance. Then he will know the joy of the inner presence and its invincible activity, for which his heart will leap with joy. Shortly before I became aware of my full mission, the statement stood out vividly before me: I am the presence that never fails or makes a mistake. This I knew later was the sustaining power which enabled me to be the resurrection and the life. It is unfortunate indeed that some of the spiritual statements have been clouded by human concept, yet I am thankful indeed that many have remained unaltered. Another statement I used constantly for more than 3 years was, I am always the majestic power of pure love that transcends every human concept, and that opens the door to me to the light within its heart. I knew later this greatly intensified my true inner vision. In response to the earnest desire within the hearts of many, I wish to say that during the years in which the scriptures seem to have been unaware of my activity, I was going from place to place in search of the explanation of the light and presence which I felt within myself, and I assure you, beloved students, not with the ease and speed with which you are able to seek today. Those of that day in my association were joyous to receive the knowledge of those unchronicled experiences, but owing to the unusual nature of them, it was thought unwise to place them before the multitude. So it has been through the ages, when the period of transcendent experiences has begun to fade into the yesterdays, and those who followed were not sufficiently advanced to realize this truth. They have shut out from humanity glories beautiful and wonderful. However, at this time, there has come to the assistance of humanity the cosmic Christ power which became so real to me. This, through its natural impulse for expression, is steadily and surely finding its way into the hearts and minds of a large percent of mankind, to the extent that great hope is present that this activity will enable the veil of human creation to be lifted, so great numbers of humanity will see signs and wonders, and feel them within their own hearts. Then they cannot be turned aside from the truth by human doubts and fears. I spent some time in Arabia, Persia, and Tibet, and closed my pilgrimage in India, where I met the beloved Master who had then made the ascension, although I did not know it at the time. Through the power of his radiation, revelation after revelation came to me, through which I was given expressions or statements that enabled me to hold steady the outer activity of my mind until it no longer had power to disturb or retard me. It was then the full glory of my mission was revealed, and the eternal cosmic record it was to make, which was to be established at that time for the blessing and enlightenment of the humanity that was to follow. You might be interested to know that this became an active cosmic record, which is quite different from any other record made, in that it contains within it, and does today, the forward urge or impulse for which the human mind was and is a magnet. This accounts for the expressions and statements I gave forth becoming more and more vivid through the centuries, and with the forward impulse of that activity, assisted by other powerful rays of radiation focused upon the earth, it will enable a great number of humanity to become so anchored in the truth and its conscious application that a transcendent accomplishment will be achieved. There is no single step so vitally important as getting before mankind the knowledge of the I Am, their source of life, and its transcendent power, which can be brought into the conscious use of the individual. Within 3 years, it will be amazing how this simple yet all-powerful truth will have spread among humanity, for all who will think upon it, practice its presence, and consciously direct its energy through the power of divine love will find a new world of peace, love, health, and prosperity open to them. Those who understand applying the knowledge of the I Am need never be beset by inharmony or disturbances in their homes, worlds, or activities, for it is only by a lack of acknowledgement and acceptance of the full power of this mighty presence that individuals allow human concepts and creations to disturb them. The student should constantly look within his human self and see what habits or creations are there that need to be plucked out and disposed of, for only by refusing to any longer allow habits of judging, condemning, and criticizing to exist can he be free. The true activity of the student is only to perfect his own world, and he cannot do it as long as he sees imperfection in the world of another of God's children. You have been given marvelous statements to harmoniously govern your life and world. Apply them with determination, and you will succeed. Another correction many of you wish me to make is this. I did not say on the cross, Father, why hast thou forsaken me? But I did say, Father, how thou hast glorified me, and I did receive into the glories with me the brother who was on my right on the cross. There are a number of these beloved students whom I knew personally at the time of the crucifixion, and in giving this message forth to them, I feel like talking to old friends. For in that great ascended presence, centuries are but an incident, and only as we come into contact with human events is there a cognizance of time. Beloved students who are so earnestly seeking the light, try to feel yourselves held in my loving embrace. Try to feel yourselves clothed in the light, dazzling as the noonday sun. So anchor within your consciousness the feeling of your ability to make the ascension that each day brings you closer and closer to the fullness of its realization. Cut loose all things of earth that bind you. Know that in the love, wisdom, and power which you accept from your mighty I Am presence is the power that does this transcendent service. Always remind yourself that God in you is your certain victory. The I Am presence which beats your heart is the light of God that never fails, and that your power by the acceptance of this presence to loose its energy and direct it is limitless. With my love I enfold you, with my light I clothe you, with my energy I sustain you, that you may go forth dauntless in your quest for happiness and the perfecting of yourselves and your world. And that is going to wrap up that particular discourse. The next discourse is 28, which is going to be pretty short, so I'm going to go ahead and include it here, even though this is running a little bit long. And it's Discourse 28, which was also a Christmas Day discourse done in 1933. O love divine, and thy magic power of transmutation, we assert thy power in cleansing and purifying the world of human mistakes and human creations. On New Year's Day, the cosmic will of progress will have reached a point where, in personal activity, much of the free will of individuals can be set aside. This brings a joy and hope unspeakable to the consciousness of those serving from these transcendent spheres of activity. Thus, O students of light, can you understand the magnificent assistance that is yours to be had by stilling the outer and reaching forth for it? I plead with you, dear students, shut your minds against the ignorance and the inharmonious suggestions of human beings everywhere. I say to every one of you, freedom in every way stands at your door if you will but keep your personality harmonized and refuse to accept inharmonious, sinister suggestions from the atmosphere, from those you contact in mortal form. It is imperative that this be done if you wish to bring into your world joy, beauty, opulence, and perfection of every kind. It is not our intent or desire to intrude a single thing upon your free will, but oh, the joy that leaps within our hearts when we see the students taking hold, comprehending, and applying these transcendent laws, which we know mean their certain victory. In connection with this mighty cosmic activity, the student should work with great determination, consuming all past and present inharmonious creation. Every time your thought and desire reach forth in this manner, great currents of energy will come to your assistance to sustain and help you. This is part of the present amazing assistance sent forth to earth. The silent watcher has waited for 200,000 years for the cosmic will to reach this point, the coming new year. I feel greatly blessed this day of devotion to the Christ, to feel the love from the many pouring out to me, and I assure you, blessed ones, that I shall come back to you with all the loving power at my command to assist, enlighten, and bless you. In the special service that Jesus has decided to give forth, you are surely blessed. Indeed, try to feel this wonderful truth with the deepest, intense feeling you can command. Open your arms, hearts, and minds to the glory of this radiation. And as you can do this more fully and completely, you will see how quickly all disturbing and limiting conditions about you will disappear. Declare and feel your amazing ability to use these laws and direct this mighty energy to your freedom and perfection. Try to realize that your human form is not a dense creation, difficult to manipulate. Try to feel it as a transparent substance that follows your slightest direction. Speak to your body. Command it to be strong, receptive only to the ascendant master consciousness, to be a perfect expression of the divine power of the mighty I Am, and to take on its beauty of form and expression. And that was a really quick one to round out this episode. And yeah, we'll be moving on to Discourse 29 next. I'm so glad you guys could join me, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.